Darkcast Network. The light shines brightest on our indie podcasts.
Warning. The following podcast may occasionally contain strong language and material that is not suitable for all ages. If you are easily offended, it is highly advised that you turn back now. However, if you're a degenerate, welcome, brethren. You've found your home.
Welcome to the Crime Diner. We're a Jersey podcast, and on the menu is a variety of true crime, cults, mysteries, historical hilarities, and sometimes victim stories. Or guest stories. We do this within a Dinner with Friends theme. I'm Nydia.
I'm Dana.
I'm Cindy.
Last week, we were live in Georgia. Woo woo, Hotlanta.
No, stop saying that.
If you missed that, go back and give it a listen.
Yeah, and I think you should join Patreon and listen there.
Yeah, because that's where it happened live.
That's right. I mean, it's not live now. Sorry about it.
Yeah,
but
sorry about it.
Sorry about it.
You missed out. See what happens?
It really feels like your own fault.
Right. So this week we have a special guest. It's Dawn of Scottish Murders, and she's joining us all the way from the good land of Scotland.
Hey, everybody. Hi.
We're so excited. Dawn is going to actually tell us a story this week.
I know.
And we're going to get to eat Scottish food.
Oh, is it haggis?
We'll find out. We don't know. You know how the show works, right? We don't know what the food is.
Yes. No.
The funny thing is, she picked the menu.
Yeah.
It was not me.
Really?
I had no choice in the matter.
Also, I don't know if this is like valid for this meal.
Yeah.
But you're vegan, yeah?
Yeah, I am.
She does not disclaim that.
I was so good to you. Really bad.
Oh, well, that's good because I almost didn't date a guy because I thought he was Scottish, and I thought we were going to go on our first date and have haggis, and I looked it up on the internet. This was like early internet, and I saw that haggis was sheep balls stuffed with rice and meat.
Not even close.
It's not.
Not even close. You looked up something completely different.
It's still nasty, though.
Now, this coming from two women who eat blood sausage.
I don't eat blood sausage, but I will eat chicken heart and have eaten liver, which I'm not a fan of.
Yikes.
And I've eaten gizzards and all of that. So I am
pig
not
feet.
opposed. Oh, love me some pig feet.
And her favorite part of a chicken is the butt's asshole.
Not the asshole, the butt cheeks.
Y'all.
Sorry, it's a problem.
Yeah, it was going to be haggis. I was going to pick haggis, but then she said that Nydia would be okay with it, but Dana wouldn't. Was that right?
Well, she did run it past me just yesterday or the day before whenever I saw her last. And I did say that, like, listen, I'm here to try anything. My main concern was that Nydia would have a full-ass heart attack, like, on the podcast, and we would, like, alienate an entire country. So that was my concern.
Wow.
Well, I will say, I'm not going to say what we're having until I show you guys the actual reveal. But I will say, my wife tried it, and she was like, oh, this is good.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
We're going to hear Dawn's story. I
Yes.
can't wait. But first, the food. Let us pray. Bless us, O patrons, for these thy gifts, which we are about to receive from thy donations through Patreon every month, under the power of the V
Podcast. Cult.
Oh, that sounds moist.
It smells moist, did you say?
What is it?
Nice. They look good. Yep.
What is that?
It looks like porridge. Or like oatmeal.
I didn't
but it
make it.
smells like fish.
It looks like tuna oatmeal.
Tuna oatmeal, yeah.
It's not as liquidy as some of the recipes that I saw. I made it a little bit on the thicker side, more chowdery like.
Chowder? Okay, what's it called?
Yeah. It's called Cullen Skink.
Cullen Skink?
Okay.
Isn't a skink
A fake animal to, like, get caught in the woods? Isn't a skink like a thing that you used to tell little kids that if you don't behave while you're camping, the skink will get you?
Wait, how about, okay, let me give it another guess.
Close.
Is a skink a fake eel?
What?
I think a skink
God,
is an eel, like some kind of.
No, I don't think so. Okay, can we get a little history lesson? What's happening here?
I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
So this has leeks, shallots, potatoes.
Okay.
The fish, the particular fish that's in it, is poached in the milk and in the cream. She's like trying to tear it down. In other words, she likes it.
It tastes like clam chowder, but with fish.
Right. But it is actually made with haddock.
Haddock. Okay.
Usually,
haddock.
It's supposed to be made with smoked haddock, which is almost impossible to find. I actually called the actual fish markets.
Yeah.
And they did not have it. So
Really?
I actually had to look up multiple recipes on how to make it. Ashton is talking.
Sorry.
He smells fish.
So this is made with
Cindy,
poached
good.
haddock and milk and all of that wonderful stuff.
I've only had one bite,
Right.
but I am into it. It tastes just like New England clam chowder,
With fish.
but with fish instead of clams.
Right.
Which honestly, I'm into.
Yeah.
Because first of all, I love clam chowder. Second of all, I prefer fish over clams, mostly.
Yeah.
As you could tell, Nydia didn't want to stop eating it.
So is this like a traditional dish that we would have if we were in Scotland?
Yeah, it is. It's just like a nice thick Scottish traditional soup kind of thing. So it's good on a nice cold wintry day.
Yes.
I'll tell you what the skink means.
What is it?
It's Scottish for shin, knuckle, or hoch. A hoch of beef.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Skinned knuckles?
Like, yeah, it's like, it's like that's what I don't know how else to explain it. That's just it's the skin or the knuckle or the hoch of beef,
Or
so
like-
that bit of
Like, you mean like a knuckle,
like the joints and that. I guess
Like a knuckle sandwich.
Yeah, no, Nydia, no, Dana. I mean,
Instead of a knuckle sandwich, it's knuckle soup.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm into it. What's up with the bread?
It also said in one of the recipes, it said serve with a nice crusty bread, like nice and crunchy bread.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, I had to make a bread from scratch.
Bitch.
So I baked bread in my Dutch oven. So this is homemade bread. It has a nice crunch to it. So hence the reason why I told you to bring the butter.
Okay.
All right.
All right, let's go.
Let's eat.
Say the name of this dish again.
Cullen Skink.
Cullen Skink. I'm fucking here for it. I love it.
Yeah,
The bread was killer, of course. And it was just like a perfect little vessel for this very hearty ass seafood soup chowder.
It was like a bisque.
Soup.
It was like a bisque.
Yes.
I personally
It was like a potato soup, bisque, like turtle soup.
turtle.
Yeah, it had the consistency of it.
Well, I don't eat turtles because I like turtles. I save the turtles.
Yeah, no, but like sometimes people eat the turtles and like it had like that same type of consistency. It was really good though.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm saved a little bit because there's a little left, and I'm gonna have that after y'all leave tonight, so I don't have to cook dinner.
Yeah.
But it wasn't turtles. It was
Haddock.
haddock.
Yeah.
Haddock, skink.
Yeah, it's skink, right?
Yeah, it's skink.
Which is knuckle.
Knuckles.
Which is
yeah.
The shin of the knuckle.
Shin knuckle. Yeah.
Oh, shin knuckle?
Shin or yeah.
Oh. So, tell us about the drink.
I just went online looking for drinks, and this came up. Glasgow Punch, and it is lemon, lime, rum, and that's it. Ice.
My understanding is a Glasgow punch is a headbutt.
Yeah.
That's right, right?
Kiss. It's the Glasgow kiss.
This meal was just straight up violent.
A knuckle sandwich and a headbutt.
Yeah.
I like the drink. This drink could cause lots of mayhem.
Yeah, this is a very spiked lemonade.
Mm-hmm. It's super citrusy. Is there actual citrus in it? Because there's like chunks of...
Yeah, I squeezed some lemons.
This bitch squeezed a lemon.
But she couldn't bring a damn lime to pass that stupid shot of
Toilet
tequila
water
that
tequila
we
we've been
God,
drinking.
it's the worst tequila.
Oh, that worst tequila. And also, I gotta tell you though, I take that tequila without the lime. That's all on y'all. Y'all want lime in your tequila? Y'all gotta provide your own lime.
That's her bragging rights.
I take that like a beast, and that tequila makes
nasty.
me work for it.
Yeah, that's nasty. This though is...
I like it.
Yeah, I like it. I am gonna drink this, and I would get in a lot of trouble with this, certainly. I could see headbutting somebody after drinking this.
So it just goes down so easily, does it?
Yes, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very tart. I'm gonna apologize right now. It is very warm in this room, and then when we have a guest on the episode, I get extra nervous.
Yeah.
And I forgot to apply deodorant.
Oh, I hate you.
I left the house knowing that I forgot to apply deodorant, and I was like, okay, I carry a little deodorant in the car.
And when we record, just a little peek behind the curtain, when we record with a guest, we all sit right next to each other so that we can be on the Zoom together. So we are particularly close. I mean, like, touching... I can touch you.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you can't smell me from
I
that.
think
So, Nydia, keep your arms down.
Yes, please. Prayer position, please. Oh, you asshole. I have to tell you guys something that happened to me. Last weekend, I went to I was invited to go to a 40th birthday party with a new friend. A friend that I don't, we were sort of like maybe going to date, but like it has turned platonic. You know what I mean? So, but she asked me, would I attend this 40th birthday party with a coworker of hers, or for a coworker of hers, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, sure. She's like, you got to wear black, all black, head to toe. Everyone does. And I was like, okay. So when I get there, the birthday woman, girl, lady, she was turning 40. She was in all gold because she wanted to be the only one to sparkle.
I get it. Love that energy for her.
Yeah. And it was beautiful. The whole party was black and gold. The food was stellar. It ended up being a Puerto Rican woman. So there was like rice and beans. Like it was very good food. I was like, as soon as I saw that it was Puerto Rican people, I was like, oh, good. The food's going to be so good.
Well, you're welcome.
Yes. And then like I was eating a bowl of the rice and I went up to get a drink from the bar and the bartender was eating a bowl of rice. I'm like, this rice though, right? And he's like, yeah, it's good as hell. So anyway, the food was good. The dancing, it was like, so she unfortunately is my age. I also will be turning 40 next year. So the music was all like from my high school era. It was like, Nelly and like all like old hip hop from like the early 2000s and like Ja Rule and shit. It was so fun. Like it was such a fun party. The girl I was with, everybody vapes. I don't, but like she vapes. Do you want to go outside while I vape? I'm like, okay. So I go outside with her and I'm sitting on a bench and she's standing and she's talking to a former coworker and they're both standing and I'm just sitting there. And also I know no one. I barely know the person I came with. I've literally hung out with her 3 times. Okay. So the girl she's talking to's boyfriend goes to go get their car. So we're like standing like around like a big horseshoe where you would like pull up and pick people up and drop them off. And then there's like a parking lot off to the left. So her boyfriend walks away to get the car and I'm just standing there watching them talk. And also this was open bar. I'm just going to put this out there. Do I smell or something? Why are you backed up?
I'm chewing the bread. I know you're going to get mad at me.
Yes, I appreciate you. Good job. He goes to get the car and they're just talking. I'm just sitting there. And they're just like, these are all like therapy people. Like they're therapists and they work at a hospital and whatever. So they're just like talking shop, I guess. And I'm just sitting there. And all you hear like off to the left is like a big like thud. And then a woman say, "You just hit me with your car." And I immediately am like, just hands over my mouth because I'm like, I don't know these people.
You Home Alone that situation.
Yes. And like, I don't know these people. And like my sexuality, I cannot control what I think is funny. So I wanted to immediately die. I was like, do not laugh at this person getting hit by a car.
Okay. let's go back to, you can't laugh at your sexuality?
No, I can't control my sexuality as much as I can't control what I find funny. And a woman getting hit by a vehicle, I immediately wanted to laugh.
Oh, okay, because it sounds like you think your sexuality is funny.
I mean, it has been entertaining, but that's not what I meant.
Okay. So you wanted to laugh at a woman who's potentially been injured by a car?
She did get hit by a car. And so mind you, this is
nervous, is it not?
I mean, it didn't sound like he hit her very hard, okay? But he definitely hit her, or whoever hit her with the car.
Okay.
So what's happening, like, in the vicinity of what we can see, we can't see them. They're just off to the side.
Right.
But they're in maybe 100 yards away, a football field away. We can hear it. It's right there. So the two people that I'm with, essentially, are staring at each other, deadpan. And I'm like, hands over my mouth, just like, what do we do? What do we do? And nobody's saying anything. And the bubble around the nobody saying anything just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I'm like internally just cackling. Like, when can we laugh? Do we laugh now? When can we laugh? Are we allowed to laugh now? What is happening? And nobody's saying anything. And I'm like literally looking like a tennis match back and forth between the two of them. And no one's fucking saying anything. And then the guy, whoever is with the woman gets hit, is like, you didn't even slow down. And I'm like, oh my God, he didn't even slow down. So now, of course, I'm like, this guy's drunk and he hit this woman, obviously.
Oh
so then the woman's like, the guy's like, have you been drinking? And then the girl whose boyfriend it was that we're like,
that hit her?
She goes, was that Adam? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, bitch, that was Adam. That was definitely fucking Adam. Like, we all know it was Adam. Like, someone say something. Your boyfriend just hit a person with his vehicle, okay? And no one is saying anything. I'm just sitting here like, we're just not going to pretend. And so he just speeds off, pulls up to pick the girlfriend up, hits the fucking curb to pick her up, and girlfriend just gets in the car. And I'm like, ma'am, this is not a good idea.
Right, he's clearly drunk.
Clearly, you hit a person, you hit a curb, she just gets in the car, and the girl I'm with looks at me, and I'm like, can we laugh now? Like, what is I'm dying the whole time, both hands over my face, like, what the fuck do we do? What do we do? What do we do?
Right, because you just want to know when to laugh.
Can I laugh yet? So I was like shaking. Like I was like literally like shaking. So they pull off. The people leave. Like nobody like does anything. What about
the injured woman?
She got in her car and left, I guess.
Limped in
Nothing,
her car.
I guess. I was thinking, like I saw the group of people that walked by, so I don't know which one got hit by the car, but they were like easy in their 50s. Like easy in their 50s. And I'm thinking like, even if he hit her a little bit, that's just gonna hurt. Like he probably hit her on her femur, like on her leg or like her hip. God forbid it was her hip.
Right.
So the girl I'm with sits down and she's like very traumatized by the whole thing. I was not traumatized by it. I thought it was fucking hilarious.
Of course, because you're not mature.
No, I'm like fully like, obviously someone got hit by, like I hit a person with my car in ShopRite parking lot one time.
You did?
But like, to be fair, I was a little stoned. I just backed into them because I didn't know that I didn't know they were walking behind me and I just backed into him. Yeah. And he punched my trunk like bam, bam, bam on my trunk. And I was like, my bad. No. Sorry about that. Didn't see you there.
I'm a little bit high.
I was a little too stoned to have this interaction, so like, moving on.
Wow.
So, she was like, we just witnessed someone get hit by a car. And I was like, yeah. I was like, are you okay? And she's like, I don't think so. And I was like, I don't think it was that bad. Like, it was probably just fine. And she was like, do I go in and tell everyone? I'm like, no. I'm like, I don't think that's the right move. She's like, tomorrow I'm telling everyone. I was like, you are such a snitch. And she's a Jewish girl and she's like, no, I'm a Yentl. And I fucking just couldn't. Like I was laughing so hard.
But clearly the person didn't press charges.
Well, clearly they were not injured.
No, I don't think they were really injured. I think they just got...
But it sounded loud.
It was loud enough that, like, I kind of feel like maybe they, like, bumped them and they, like, put their hands on the car and made, like, a thud sounding.
Yeah.
If there was a group of girls and some car hit one of your friends, you're not just going to say, well, you're going to, knock on the car or get them out. Or
yeah, hell yeah.
Aggressive, aren't you? So it must have been fine.
I think there was, like, this uncomfortable, like, nobody wanted to, like, rock the boat at the birthday party because it was, like, this girl's 40th birthday party. Okay. And, like, maybe it was family. Maybe it was the person that hit them was a coworker. So it was, like, a coworker potentially hit a family member. So it was, like, all of these, like, things happening.
Remember that episode of The Office where Michael hits Meredith with his car? It feels kind of like that.
Yeah. While I found it, not traumatic, I have not gotten over it. Like, I haven't brought it up to the girl because I want to be like, did you tell the birthday person, like, that there was an accident? But she's, like, very fragile. So, like, I just, like, haven't brought it up. I just want to be like, can we talk about the car thing yet or what? She hasn't brought it up, so I just let it go. But I was like, I got to tell the girls about this. This is crazy.
You just wanted to have a big laugh, didn't you?
Oh, my God, I did. She was like, I can't believe you were laughing. I was like, I wasn't laughing. I wouldn't call that laughing. I was like, I was fully fucking splitting in two on the inside. Like, my spirit left my meat sack and just fucking died in this, and then came back down and settled down because I couldn't believe that everybody was just standing there in silence. And nobody knew what to do. It was hilarious.
That's why she's not in a relationship with you, Dana. She's
fully,
way more mature.
Yeah, no, fully. She was like, I don't think I'm, like, emotionally, like, ready for, like, a relationship. I'm like, yeah, no, I got that. Like, fully understand that. And then, like, the next week, she's like, yeah, I had, like, a makeout session on my couch with this girl. I'm like, cool, like, have fun with that.
It's a you problem.
I was like, you could have just said you didn't like me.
It's you.
I laugh at humans getting hit by cars. Like, I get it. I'm not everyone's cup of tea.
It's your moral compass.
Yeah,
honestly.
it's skewed. Yeah. That shit.
It's slightly fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be when you have a true crime podcast.
Truly. My moral compass just keeps spinning and spinning and
Yes.
spinning.
It does not point north.
No. It's Weast.
Weast. I had a situation where my unprofessionalism showed.
Love it. What else is
I'm
new?
a teacher. And during a lesson, I said, we were looking for words that start with the letter L. Now, mind you, I teach 5th and 6th grade special ed, and this is like a very, very basic lesson. But it's a phonics program for dyslexia, and so we're just looking for L sounds, right? And one of the kids raised his hand, and he says, lubber. And I was like, that's not a word. And he's like, yes, it is. And I'm like, no, honey, it's not. You mean to say lover? And he's like, no, like in landlubber. And I'm like, no. That lubber is a way of saying lover, but in pirate accent. And he's like looking at me and laughing. He's like, no, Miss Apollonia, it is landlubber. That is a real word. And I was like, honey, I don't think so. But just for the sake of looking it up, I'm going to look it up.
Oh, no.
And lubber is totally a word.
Really?
And it means a person who can't walk steady on their feet on land. No. So a landlubber would be a person who, like, after being on a ship for some time,
loves the land,
is like walking around like clumsily on the land. So that means that they're not a seasoned sailor. And I was like, egg on my face.
He taught you something.
He taught me something, and he had the silliest little grin on his face.
He's like, yeah, bitch, Google it.
That's right.
He's like, I'm waiting.
He's like, Googling you, old bitch.
You were at a drag show this weekend.
Okay, so, we love drag here on the podcast.
We support it fully.
Yeah, and so I will just to caveat this story with, Nydia has said to us in the past, if we invite her somewhere and she doesn't come, to tell her to make her come because she doesn't want to come, but she wants to come, but she won't come because she needs to be forced. So I tried to pull that card to get her to come to this drag show, and she did not come. And she missed out. because this was a fucking production.
Also, it was my sister's birthday.
Sister Schmister, okay? This was a Harry Potter drag show, okay? Mm-hmm. And we walked in, and first of all, we pulled up, and I was like, ma'am, is this a church?
It was a full-on cathedral.
It was a full fucking cathedral, stained glass, pillar, like high, like big pointy ceilings. I'm like...
It was a steeple.
Yes, a steeple, yes.
Uh-huh.
I was like, yes, I'm here for a drag show in a church. So in my head, at this point, I'm like thinking, okay, like, they're renting out the church, like, that's a thing that happens,
Right.
like, whatever.
Also, I don't know what church would...
But me too. So I was like, oh, wow, this very liberal church, like, we love it. Love to see it. We fully support all welcome here bullshit, right? And then, so there's all, like, smoggy and whatever, and Cindy's wife, Danny... You may have heard of her.
Yeah. Once or twice.
Once or twice. She's like...
I think she works for us, actually.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, she's an unpaid intern. She's like...
We're all unpaid interns.
She's like, it's so smoky in here. And I'm like, it's all the gays, obviously. Like,
Right.
It's the smoke
They're
coming
smoking
up.
hot.
There's so much gays. All the gays in the church are, like, creating a fog, you know? So, come to find out that, like, these people bought the church. And they put on, like, gay events all the time. It's like, it's a venue. It's called the Cathedral.
With a K.
With a K, yeah. And it's cool. They do weddings there and shit. It's beautiful.
Is giving.
Yeah. Oh, girl, you have no idea. So we're like, okay, Harry Potter drag show. Like, it's going to be like, you know, a high school production. That's sort of what I'm thinking what's going to happen. Bitch. There's a giant screen happens, okay?
Uh-huh.
Literally every theatrical, dramatic clip between 1 and 8 movies is pulled and strung together behind fucking killer music. And it's just and we're all looking at each other like, oh, this is about to be a fucking production.
Uh-huh.
It was a fucking production from start to finish, 2 hours of drag. Like, before each person would come out, it would be all bits and pieces of clips from Harry Potter, from Hermione Granger. We thought Ron Weasley would be next. No, ma'am. The Golden Snitch. Then this bitch comes out dressed in, like...
Oh, shit.
I was like, girl.
Yeah.
Like, it was a full fucking production.
If you are J.K. Rowling, please close your eyes and ears.
get fucked.
Also, Moaning Myrtle.
Oh, my God.
Moaning Myrtle came out with a full-on toilet.
Toilet bowl seat, like singing through the toilet bowl, sits on it on the ground like she's taking a shit. Fucking hilarious.
Amazing.
Like, it was so good from start to finish. Dolores Umbridge gave me a little lap dance.
What?
I have not gotten over it.
Oh, my God.
I have not gotten over it.
That sounds amazing.
It was so fun. We were screaming, howling. We were probably middle of the road age-wise.
Really?
There were some old broads in this bitch.
Good.
Shaking that dollar, girl.
Good.
Shaking that dollar. I was like, that's what made me think it was a church. I was like, oh, these bitches think this is some bingo shit. No, they were like,
They were ready. They were ready. And there was a little something for all of them.
Yes.
Because Draco Malfoy.
Yeah, Draco Malfoy and Voldemort was the same guy.
Uh-huh.
And
Or is it a non-binary person?
Non-binary.
Okay.
A motherfucker came out in a gold, what is that thing that boys wear when they have to play sports?
A cup?
A gold, glittery cup with all
It was a
their
banana
junk.
hammock.
Yes, bitch. It looked hard. Like, it didn't look like underwear. It looked like a rock solid.
Maybe that was his...
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
They were in full on, like...
Chains, nipple, like a Voldemort mask that was horrifying. Horrifying.
Wow.
People were like... fucking into it. Fucking into it, bro. Into it. It was so good. Like, it was
Wow.
we're going to share. I mean, I took 1,000 pictures and videos.
I was going to say, have you got photos of all this?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yeah. And all the videos I took, I was like screen grabbing clips of them, like, so that you could get like full visuals of like what they looked like, because they were literally dancing on us, like right next to us. It was so good. Such $20 fucking show.
Wow.
$20.
I'm impressed. But you
That's
literally
amazing.
looked like you were wagging your tail.
Oh, I was. From the minute I got there to the minute I left, I'm like,
And they had butter beer, and that butter beer hit.
Yeah, butterbeer with vanilla vodka. Yeah, it was on. Like, this shit was on point.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you missed out.
Did good.
Well, it was my sister's birthday though.
Oh, fuck her.
Not for nothing. She would be mad that you did not tell
She
her
should have
about
been
it,
there,
and
yeah.
she should have been there because she would have
Would you?
showed
Yeah.
her
Would
ass.
your sister not like that?
She would have loved it. I can't eat
Yeah.
this. Her
Throw it
sister.
out.
No, I want to eat it, but I keep having to talk.
Okay, wait a minute. I have to tell the listeners. Dana keeps putting bread in her mouth and taking it out. She's done this now 3 times. I'm grossed out. Somebody help me.
Listen, I have deodorant on, so shut the hell up. It's a crusty piece of bread, and I don't want to lose it.
She's
but
raccooning it.
I keep trying to talk. Her sister would have loved it because her sister loves Harry Potter as much as the rest of us. I don't know how she feels about drag, but
Oh, she would have ate it up.
it was so fun. I want to go to every production they have there.
That would have been a good birthday present as well,
you.
taking her there.
Her kids planned
She missed
it.
out.
God, kids, these kids ruin everything.
Let's have dessert because I'm
Yeah.
tired of you soaking that bread.
All right, I'm gonna stop chomping on this bread. Let's have dessert. Okay, say what this is again.
I'm gonna let her say it.
Oh, okay.
Done.
Cranachan.
Granathan?
Cranachan.
Cranachan.
Cranachan. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm sure we're saying that wrong. But so, what is this specifically?
It's a whipped cream. I made a whipped cream with honey and whiskey. Smashed some raspberries. I also toasted some oatmeal, like
Oats.
oats. And so I layered it up, added some oats on the top, and that's what you get.
And
Yeah.
in Scotland, it is called the uncontested king of Scottish desserts.
Uncontested.
There you are.
That feels like a prestigious award, honestly.
No, it's well, it's according to Wikipedia.
The literary giant. I really like this dessert. It's not overly sweet. It is a little tart with the raspberries, but the whipped cream is so good. Is whiskey in it, you said?
Whiskey.
Yeah.
Whiskey and honey.
Wow. Yeah, I like this. Nydia scraped her plate, of course.
The whiskey's not cooked out of it though.
No,
honey. No, nothing.
Because I was like, I feel extra lightheaded.
It's only 2 tablespoons of whiskey in that whole thing. You are not lightheaded from that. You're lightheaded
You're
from
lightheaded from the
From the
headbutt.
drink.
Yeah.
From the headbutt drink.
Yeah, I'm into this dessert. I would
Yeah,
eat
it's
this
good.
again and again, and it feels so light.
It feels healthy. Even.
Yeah, it feels so light. Like you could eat this and just keep eating this and be like sitting and eating this
Yeah.
and never
Like,
stop eating.
I
it.
don't know why I'm gaining weight. This is healthy food.
There's nothing in it. Yeah,
right.
Cindy, you did good.
yeah, it's great. This is a podcast. They can't hear thumbs up.
yeah, thumbs up. I'm telling.
Anything else? We're good.
We're good. I want to hear that story.
Are you ready to tell us about a Scottish murder?
Yes.
All right,
That didn't sound confident.
we're ready to hear it. We're so delighted that
Well,
you're
it's a
here
bit
to
of a
tell us the story.
mystery. It's a mystery. It's up to you to debate whether you think it's a murder or not.
Oh shit, we love that.
I know.
Okay, great.
I love a mystery
Okay,
too.
let's set the stage though. We love to interrupt. So we're going to raise our hand so that you stop talking and then we interrupt you.
We're gonna say that we're gonna do that. We're definitely not gonna do that.
Talk right over you.
Good evening, creeps. You know, everybody's entitled to one good scare on Halloween.
I told you need to go check on the children.
But the podcasts of the Darkcast Network have enough scares to fill even the largest trick-or-treat sack.
No razor blades, I promise.
Join the pods of the Darkcast Network, including Murder News, Sinister Story Hour, Beyond the Rainbow, Cause of Death, Octoberpod AM, Rogue Darkness, Over the Fence, and me, Brenda, host of Horrifying History, for a pajama jammy jam of deliciously dark, devilish, and disturbing Halloween treats.
There was always something eerie about the second floor of this house.
We are like the house handing out full-size Snicker bars for your ears. And we're coming to this podcast, yes, the one you're listening to right now, on October 31st. That's Halloween Day 2022 on your favorite podcast streaming apps.
A long time ago, a man murdered his wife in that room.
Don't forget to wear your coziest pajamas for the Darkcast Network Halloween Sleepover, coming to this podcast on Halloween Day.
Today I'm going to take you on a wee tour of Scotland, as you've heard the Cullen Skink, which originates from the east coast of Scotland, or the northeast of Scotland. But in the story today, which Cindy, you can open the pictures and the map and all that, it's going to take place on the Isle of Arran, which is off the west coast of Scotland, back in 1889, on a mountain called Goatfell.
I'm already so excited because I love old stories.
Yay! It's old, all right. So I've done a little map, and it's just like everything I'm going to say is going to be coming like as if it's from, like, you know, see where Glasgow is on the west coast. So I'm going to tell you how far it is from, everything is from Glasgow. So you kind of have an idea.
Okay. Oh, so the drink was perfect.
Yeah! You did good. You just reading my mind now, Cindy.
I try.
Yeah, you did.
I learned from these two.
And the pictures are just, you can look at them as I'm telling the story of who each person is.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, let's go. So the Isle of Arran is on the west coast of Scotland, which I said it's just off the west coast of Scotland. It's about a 2.5 hour drive and ferry trip southwest of Glasgow. Just to give you a wee bit background, the Isle of Bute lies just north of the Isle of Arran, and it's a 1 hour and 49-minute drive and ferry trip west of Glasgow. And the Isle of Bute, it was a popular holiday destination for Glaswegians back in the day. So back in 1889, it was steamboats that carried the passengers to the Isle of Bute and Isle of Arran, and a lot of them would take day trips. They would stay in the Isle of Bute, but they would go on day trips to the Isle of Arran. And this is how the two main characters in my story came to meet. There was 25-year-old John Watson Laurie, and he came from Coatbridge, which is 26-minute drive east of Glasgow. John Laurie, he was a pattern maker, which is described as a mould maker. So that was his job. And then there was also 32-year-old Edwin Robert Rose, and he came from South London, down in England, which is about a 7-hour journey south of Glasgow, and he worked as a builder's clerk. So it was the beginning of July in 1889, and both John Laurie and Edwin Rose, they decided to take a holiday from their work and head to the Isle of Bute. So Edwin was just going for, a holiday to see a wee bit of Scotland, but John Laurie was heading to the Isle of Bute because he'd found out that his ex-girlfriend was headed there with her new man, and he wanted to go and, check them out, see what was going on.
Oh, shit.
So it was the 6th of July, and John Laurie, he leaves Glasgow, and he arrives at Port Bannatyne on the Isle of Bute. He checks into a guest house called Iona Place, and it's run by Mrs. Curry. But he checks in under the name John Annandale. But now, this might seem a bit odd to us, and we're probably thinking, what's he up to? He's trying to hide his identity. But apparently, back then, it wasn't really a big deal. It was like when you went on holiday, you could just be whoever you wanted to be, pretend that you were somebody you weren't. So when he went on holiday, he was pretending he was John Annandale. So it's not a big deal. He wasn't really trying to hide or anything. So the holiday started on the 6th of July for John Laurie, and on the 12th of July, he decides to go on a steamboat day trip to the Isle of Arran. It was on the steamboat that he met Edwin Rose for the first time. So Edwin Rose, he was also staying on the Isle of Bute. And the pair they'd seen, it's only a small island, so they'd seen each other about. So when Edwin had seen John on the boat, he went over and approached him and said, hello, I think we've seen each other about, just wanted to say hello, and they just had a wee chat. So Edwin was with another couple of men that he'd met at his accommodation on the boat. One was Francis Meikle and William Thom. John Laurie was also on the boat with another man called James Aitken, who he'd met at his accommodation. I am getting somewhere, honestly. It's not just a wee trip.
No, you're good.
You're good. I'm trying to follow the story.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to give you an idea, the Isle of Bute is about 47 square miles or 122 square kilometres. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's tiny.
And the Isle of Arran is around 166 square miles and 432 square kilometres. So they're not massive. So you can just bump into people, and that's how. So they knew each other, seen each other around. Anyway, while they're on the boat, they're still having their little chat, and Edwin looks up onto Arran and he sees Goatfell Mountain. So I sent you a picture of Goatfell Mountain.
Yeah.
You can have a wee look at. So there's that. And it's the highest point on the Isle of Arran, standing at 874 metres or 2,867 feet. And Edwin said to John, no, I've always wanted to, I really fancy climbing that, but I don't, I'm not local. I don't fancy going by myself. And John said, well, I'll happily be your tour guide. So they agreed that they would go up together. So that was fine. So John Laurie, he got off the boat at Arran and he went and he booked accommodation on Isle of Arran for the week. But then he went back on the boat again with Edwin and Francis and Meikle and headed back to Bute again. After they'd spent a wee bit of time round the Isle of Arran, but anyway, they went back to Isle of Bute that night, stayed in Edwin's hotel, all four of them. That's because Edwin's hotel was a lot more fancier than John's, so he, was wanting to stay with him and, live it up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
So the next day, on the 13th of July, Saturday the 13th of July, John, Edwin, Francis and William, they took the steamer boat back to the Isle of Arran and they headed to the accommodation that John had booked the day before on the Isle of Arran. And he checked himself in, and Edwin, under his name John Annandale, but he hadn't booked accommodation for the other two, but they sorted themselves out. But then that evening, the four of them went to a friend of Francis and William's called Andrew Gilmore, who was a medical student. He lived sort of just along the road in a place called Corrie on the Isle of Arran. And it was like a 15-minute drive from his accommodation in Brodick. Are you following okay?
Yeah, I think so, yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're taking it all in.
The pictures were helpful.
Good. Okay.
You should give me pictures when you do your story.
I'll keep that in mind now. So yeah, they have the meal at this Andrew Gilmore. He's the medical student. So they have tea with him, all four of them. And then John and Edwin, they head back to their accommodation in Brodick, that he's booked still in the Isle of Arran. And Francis and William, they go and they find accommodation on a yacht, one of their friends. So that's fine. And on the Sunday, John and Edwin, they just spend the day wandering about Arran, just having fun and just not doing anything exciting. And then the next day, the four of them meet up again until about 3:30. William and Francis, they get back on the steamer about 3:30 and they head off to the Isle of Bute again, leaving John and Edwin on the Isle of Arran because they're going to climb Goatfell Mountain. But before Francis and William go, they tell Edwin, don't go up the mountain with him. We don't trust him. He's been awful quiet. There's something not right. So they give him that warning, but he ignores it, and the pair of them go and begin to climb up Goatfell. And Goatfell is really popular with tourists and climbers, so it wasn't quiet. They passed people that were going slower than them, and they were passed by people that were going faster than them, and they were just chatting with everybody. There was no problem. They seemed to be getting on fine. And then the last time they were seen together was at the summit of Goatfell, about 6:20 p.m. by about 5 witnesses. And then 3 days later, on the Thursday, the 18th of July, Edwin's family became concerned because he hadn't returned from his holidays. He was expected to. By Monday, the 22nd of July, Edwin's family began to make inquiries at the Isle of Bute because that's where they thought Edwin, that's where he went on holiday. And they tried to determine his whereabouts. And then on the 27th of July, his brother Benjamin finally goes to the Isle of Arran to try and find out where this John Annandale, who everybody's told him was with his brother Edwin, who we know as John Laurie. So he goes and he speaks to the accommodation that they were staying in Brodick, and the landlady says on the Tuesday the 16th, this was the day after that they'd gone to climb up the mountain, she'd gone to waken the two men up about 11 o'clock, and the room was empty. It was empty, they weren't there, their bags weren't there, it was gone, and they hadn't paid their bill. So she was a bit annoyed, but she just put it down to a learning experience. So the brother then found out that John Laurie had been seen again on the Tuesday at 7 a.m. on the ferry leaving the Isle of Arran, but there was no Edwin, and the last confirmed sighting of him was at 6:20 p.m. on Monday the 15th at the summit of Goatfell. Dun, dun, dun.
What the hell was that?
I loved it.
Cut the tension with a knife. We're all like standing here.
I'm like, oh, he definitely. God damn it! I just dropped the last bite of bread. Thanks a lot, Dana.
Oh God,
we were all like hanging on every word you were saying.
Oh God.
I'm like, he definitely did it.
Yeah.
Well, it's just okay, but anyway, I'll carry on. So it's like being all these years later, and you know what? It's still debated. It's still debated now whether. Anyway, I'll carry on and tell you. So on Sunday the 28th of July, so this is 13 days after the last sighting of Edwin, full-scale search is finally organised on Goatfell. But despite 200 people, probably most of the locals, climbing up Goatfell, it was really horrible terrain. It was really dangerous. There were exposed drops, and there was drops up to 32 feet, about 15 metres. And they said that some parts of the mountain looked like they'd never been visited by a human. It isn't until a week later, on the Sunday the 4th, that they finally find Edwin's body. If you look at the picture now, have you seen that other one with the big boulder, the big rock, somebody standing beside it?
Yeah, we did see that one, yeah.
His body's found under that massive boulder, which is like a big ledge.
Under?
What?
Yeah, he's found under it, okay? He's found face down. It's like they say that there's a man-made wall of 42 stones concealing the entrance. It's been placed all round the side of it to conceal his body. So that's where he's found.
Okay, so that's not a place you get accidentally.
Exactly. But, okay. No, but just okay, wait, there's more.
All right, put a pin in it,
All right.
Okay, so they get there's a doctor on the island on holiday, and he's called Dr. Andrew Gilmore. And they get him and a local doctor called William Fullerton. They come up to the mountain, and they just do a little examination of him from where he's found, where Edwin was found. And they said that he was found with severe injuries to his head and his face. It was so bad that they couldn't identify him by his face. Facial description, had to identify him by his clothing. And when he was found, he was lying like face down, but he was wearing a long coat, and the bottom of it was pulled up over his head. So he was lying over his head with him face down.
Okay.
That was how he was found. His pockets were empty, but then high above, on the ridge up above, there was a walking stick, a torn waterproof coat, a knife, a button, a pencil, and a cap that was found folded up with a stone placed on it in the middle of a stream, like a small stream. So that was what was found up there. Following day, the Dr. Gilmore and Dr. Fullerton did a complete examination of Edwin's body. They found that he had a broken shoulder, his upper vertebrae was detached, he had broken ribs and a buttock wound. All of the injuries were on his left side, but his clothing was only damaged around his shoulder and his buttock wounds. There was no damage to his limbs, his hands, and there was no sign of extensive bleeding.
So his buttocks.
Yes, his buttocks.
Yeah,
Did you like that?
So
it's
he either fell, hit his shoulder, and hit his ass on the way down.
Right.
Or
somebody hit his ass at the top.
Kicked his ass off the edge, yeah.
Yeah.
We're very smart. I'm not sure if you knew this, but
we could be detectives.
You've done this before, haven't you? So, obviously, because Edwin was found under the boulder with such severe injuries, the police were keen to speak to the last person that he'd been seen with, which was John Annandale, who is obviously John Laurie, but they don't know that. And that was the last time he was seen at 6:20 on the top of Goatfell. So a witness came forward, first of all, to the police that said they had seen John near a graveyard in Corrie, which is still on the Isle of Arran, about half an hour or so away from his accommodation in Brodick. And he said that he came down from that, the way he was there, he's seen him about between 9 and 9:30, and that was him coming down from Goatfell Mountain. And that he said that was a particularly difficult route he's used to come down. He didn't know why he would come down that way, because he wasn't, an experienced climber. So that was a bit strange. John was then seen again next at the Corrie Hotel at 10 p.m, and he just had a drink, but he didn't go into the bar. It was like you could get a drink through a window. It was like, how petrol stations close at a certain time and you have to go through the window and pay for things. Yeah. So he actually asked somebody else if he could get him a drink through the window. So they got him a drink through the window, and then he sat down outside. Everybody else went in, but he stayed outside, had his drink, and then he headed back to his accommodation. So that was about shortly after 10 o'clock. It would have taken about 2 hours actually to get to his accommodation walking. So he should have been there about just after midnight. And then he was seen again at 7 o'clock on the ferry, leaving the Isle of Arran and going to the mainland. He was also then seen again on the train from the mainland getting the train from the mainland up to Greenock, which is about 41-minute drive northwest of Glasgow. And he was seen by the same man, and it was, I said, the medical student that they'd all had dinner with way back, Andrew Gilmore. So he was the one that saw this John on the ferry, leaving Arran at 7 o'clock in the morning. John then travelled to his home in Glasgow, and then I don't know why though, because he went all the way up to, so it was like, if you can see in the map, you've got it coming into the mainland, then he goes up to Greenock, then he goes all the way over east to go to Glasgow. Don't know what he's doing to go to his accommodation, and then he comes all the way back the same day, comes all the way back to Greenock again, and then gets the ferry, back over to the Isle of Bute. So I don't know what he was doing, heading there just for the day and then going all the way back over to the Isle of Bute again. But anyway, he goes there and he checks in to the Iona Place guest house again as John Annandale. And it is here that a witness said they saw him with a striped jacket that was known to belong to Edwin Rose. Now, this happened on Tuesday, the 16th of July, but the search for Edwin didn't actually happen until the 28th of July.
Nobody has any sign of him for 10 days? Is that what you're saying?
3 days.
Yeah.
10 days or 3 days?
I thought it was the 16th to the 28th.
So he was last seen on the 15th. Up on the Monday the 15th, Edwin was last seen. But then the search didn't actually happen for him until the 28th. Yeah. Because the time his brother didn't come home again, so and his brother raised the alarm. Yeah. Yeah. So he was lying up there for 2 weeks, and this John was just going about his business, still enjoying his holiday, back to Bute to have his holiday. Right. It was Saturday, the 20th of July, which is 8 days before the search of Edwin takes place. John leaves the Isle of Bute, so he's had a lovely holiday. He doesn't pay his bill again. He travels back to his accommodation where he's living in Glasgow. And then he just carries on with his daily routines, going to work, and he just carries on as normal until the 31st of July, when at this point he's confronted by, do you remember the guy he was on the boat with right back at the beginning, James Aitken? Yeah. Mm-hmm. When he first met Edwin Rose? Well, he didn't just meet James Aitken at the hotel in Bute. They knew each other, were acquainted back in Glasgow. So when the news broke of Edwin Rose being missing, James confronted John and said, I know you're John Annandale. I know that's your name, even though you're John Laurie, and I know you were with Edwin. So what happened to him? And he said, I don't know what you're talking about. He came over in the boat with me, and then he just went away down to England. And James said, I don't believe you. I'm going to the police to tell them that you're John Annandale. So at this point, John he packed in his job, he sold all his tools, and he went on the run. And he was a month just travelling about Scotland and England, just trying to evade the police.
There's definitely shade there.
I mean, for 1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something is definitely questionable.
But what? I'll keep going. I've got loads to say, but I'm just going to tell you the story.
Okay, all right.
I'll tell you too much, and then you'll be like, what?
Okay.
So yeah, he wanders about Scotland and England just trying to evade the police. But while he's wandering about, he decides to write into a few newspapers and just rambling a lot of the time. But one of the stories he says to the papers that he planned to take his own life. He said that he did go to the summit with Edwin, and that was the last time he seen him, and he left him there at the top in the company of 2 other men who said they were going to go back to Brodick with him. That was the last time he said he seen him. And he said that he then went on to spend the evening with his friends till about 10 o'clock when he went to the hotel in Corrie, which is that was where he was placed. But that he said he could easily prove this, but he's not going to bring his friends' names into it because it's just ridiculous. He's not going to do that. And instead, he's just going to take his own life. Another one he sends in to another paper, and he just says, "I smile when I read that my arrest is expected hourly." So he's just been weird. But anyway, if he didn't do it, and he is, then why is he being so weird and just...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why, if you had an alibi and it was true, then why would you just say, "Oh, I'm not going to bring them into it"? I'm just going to take my own life instead. It's just silly.
Yeah, it's awfully suspicious.
But he didn't take his own life.
No, he didn't. But then, on Tuesday the 3rd of September, when he's been on the run for just about a month, he's finally spotted in Hamilton, which is about 26-mile drive southeast of Glasgow, and the police give chase. They eventually found him. He's hiding in a bush.
No.
And he's actually attempted to take his own life, and he's tried to slit his throat with a razor, but he didn't manage it. And then he just, as he was being cautioned and charged, he just said, "I robbed the man, but I did not murder him."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so he robbed him.
Mm-hmm. He robbed him. So he's admitted that he robbed him.
They never fully get their own throat, do they, when they...
No, they never fully do. They're like, "Oh, this hurts."
Yeah.
Yes.
That feels aggressive.
Yeah, that's a fucking aggressive way to end your life.
Yes.
It does, doesn't it? It's severe. I couldn't do that.
No. Neither can they, clearly.
No. He was annoyed at himself that he couldn't do it, I think, though, he said. So anyway, while he's on the run, all this time, there's a funeral held for Edwin Rose, and he's actually buried on the Isle of Arran, even though he's from, South London. So I don't know why that would be. I don't know whether that's a tradition back then. I'm not sure. But the other thing I have to tell you, which is just a little folklore about Arran, about the Isle of Arran, and it actually came out at the trial. If you die on Arran, if you're murdered on Arran, the Isle of Arran, you've got to have your shoes buried above the water, where the tide comes in, above the water mark. Because if you don't have your shoes buried, then it means that your spirit will forever walk that island.
Oh,
they did. So it came out at the trial. The policemen believing that they buried his shoes when they were actually meaning to get them for evidence to find out if it could show whereabouts he'd been on the mountain. But the shoes were buried. So, yeah, that was good.
The shoes are buried.
You gotta bury the shoes. It's important.
What happens if you die and you're barefoot? You gotta bury your socks?
Oh,
your toenails?
No, you're in trouble. No, they gotta put shoes on your feet.
No, it has to be the shoes that you got killed with.
Yeah.
Oh.
Has to be these shoes.
That's unfortunate.
Very weird.
Your
you have
ghost
to walk
is
the aisle.
Going to be walking.
Wow.
Well, he was buried on the 5th of August on Arran, but then on the 27th of September, his body was exhumed because his chest and abdominal cavities hadn't been checked at the original examination. It said that there was nothing in the chest cavity, and his liver and other abdominal organs were in a reasonable condition. So everything was okay.
Okay.
So that was just a little aside. So, okay, then we're on to the trial. Okay, this is when it gets interesting.
Okay.
Promise.
No, it's already interesting. Yeah, we're into it.
We're like, what is the mystery? Because it sounds like he killed him.
At the trial on the 8th of November, the defence's stance is, which was instructed by John Laurie, he never actually spoke at the trial, but he was instrumental in what they said. And his stance was that he and Edwin had, even though saying to the other guy that he'd left him at the top of the mountain with 2 other men, now he's saying that they both came down Goatfell Mountain together. No, didn't come down together, they came down, but they came down independently, they took different routes. So when he was seen coming down at the graveyard by one person, Edwin had apparently gone down a different way. That was what his was. So they just basically went their separate ways at the top of Goatfell. That was the last time he saw him.
Right.
That was what his stance is. All the witnesses were called from Arran. They were questioned, but the main people that they spent a lot of time with were 3 medical witnesses, who was Andrew Gilmore, William Fullerton, and Henry Littlejohn. And they were questioned because their theory was, after looking at the body, that he'd been beaten to death by a rock, instead of, that said that he'd fallen.
Yeah.
But the defence also had their own medical people, but they had never looked at the body, but they were saying that he definitely it was an accident and he fell, but then conceded that he might have been murdered. The 3 Crown prosecution witnesses, medical ones, they said, no, he definitely was murdered, but then conceded that, no, he could have fallen, could have been an accident. So it's just like, okay.
He could have fallen and then got buried under up 42 stones or whatever you said.
Yeah, under the rock with 42 stones round it. So it just was, there was nothing, it was all circumstantial. There was no weapon found. There was, he'd been pulled under the rock, but they're saying, but he could have fallen. He could have fallen, and then he could have got panicked and pulled him under the rock, but he didn't kill him. Or it's just, it was all circumstantial. There was nothing to place him there. There was nothing to say that he didn't have any of his things on him other than that jacket that he'd been seen with. And anyway, the judge said after the first day, he said, right, basically, I've not got time for this. I'm impatient, and I want this cleared up by tomorrow. So it was a 2-day trial for like a murder.
What?
A possible murder. And he's just like, no, that's it. I want it cleared up. So the Crown managed to call 43 witnesses in that time. I know. No, 53 witnesses.
Oh my God. In 2 days?
In 2 days, and the defence managed to call 7. I mean, I don't know how they managed to. Was it just a case of, right, they're on the bed, they're on there, and it's like, did you see anything? No. Did you see it? No. And I don't know how they managed to go through all that.
Wow.
It was crazy. So, and then basically, defence was trying to say that he possibly fell backwards, and that was what his injuries were, him falling off the ledge and he didn't get hit by the rocks that were never found. Anyway, the other thing is, the defence said that if he had hit him over the head, bashed him in the head, it was so severe, I mean, his skull was, in bits, then there would have been blood everywhere. But they said, he didn't have any blood on his clothing. But remember, he'd been on the run for like a month. So, of course, when you caught him, he's not going to have it.
That's good old detective work.
Yeah, isn't it? So I don't know what that was about.
What about blood at the scene? Like, if they were suggesting...
Well, there wasn't.
There was no blood.
There wasn't, because it rained. It was all rain.
Right.
And they even said, it looked like he had been dragged under. He dragged from where he lay. He'd been dragged under the stone.
Right.
And they even said, well, how? Because it was all rained and everything had moved, so you couldn't even. They just couldn't prove anything.
Yeah.
I think it's just. It sounds like he probably did it, but I think was it an accident? Did he fall or did he push him? I think that's what it was, and because everything was so circumstantial, everybody expected him to get off with it because of that. And anyway, so the jury. Oh, the other thing was. Do you remember Dr. Andrew Gilmore? And there was a Dr. Andrew Gilmore who he looked at the body up on the mountain and examined it. And then there was a Dr. Andrew Gilmore, the medical student. Do you remember?
Yes.
That they all had tea with. Well, they were father and son. And So the son had been in the presence, with all of them having tea. So and he was friends with the two guys that told Edwin not to go up the mountain with him because he was being really quiet and he just didn't trust him. But then his dad was the one that was on the stand, basically trying to prove that John had murdered him. But that was never disclosed. They never disclosed that there was a relationship there, that he was maybe a little bit biased.
Yeah.
So that wasn't disclosed. That was kept secret as well. And the other thing was, why he was so quiet was because he had toothache. That's why he wasn't very talkative. He had toothache.
And 1800s toothache has got to be no joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a matter of life and death.
Yeah, I mean,
that keeps me quiet if I have a toothache
that's
now.
They take like a big railroad spike and like put it out with a rock and shit. Well, throw a leech in there for good measure.
That's what John was trying to do to Edwin. Oh, but it wasn't Edwin that had the toothache. It was John that had the toothache.
It was John, and that's why he was quiet, because because the two friends warned him, don't go up the mountain with him because he's been weird and just a bit quiet. And he's saying, I was quiet because I had toothache. Not that I'm weird.
Wow.
So remember there was a guy at cemetery who said that they saw Edwin come down about 9:30, and they said it was a really strange route that he'd taken if he had come down that way, because it was it was the dangerous route and not a lot of people use it. Well, they were trying to say, you don't remember that, do you? No. There was a guy at the cemetery, and he was with two girls. I don't know what they were doing there together, but the guy said he saw John walking past about 9:30 on the Monday, the day that he came down off the mountain by himself, and he said he didn't know why he would come down that way. They were trying to say they didn't know why he came down that way because it was really a bad and dangerous way, and he wouldn't do it late at night. And the Crown were saying he went that way because he was trying to get Edwin into a quiet, secluded area where not a lot of people would go.
Right.
But the defence were saying no. What it was he'd probably just got lost. It was dark, it was misty, it was raining. He'd probably just got lost and ended up coming down that way, but he didn't mean to. It was just an accident. So that was another part of the defence. The jurors that went out, they did their summing up. They went out and it took 45 minutes to come back, and there was a verdict of guilty.
45 minutes.
Wow.
On a 2-day trial.
Minutes.
On a 2-day trial where the guy was missing for fucking weeks and weeks.
With 60
plus witnesses, whatever.
Yeah.
Jesus.
3 from one side, 7 from the other side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he's found guilty.
He was found guilty, but 8 of them picked guilty, but 7 of them picked not proven verdict, which is, the thing, he could be guilty, but there's not enough evidence, so we're not sure.
Right.
There was uproar about this because everybody thought he wouldn't get found guilty because it was all circumstantial. They didn't believe it. So when he was sentenced to hang, but then there was lots of petitions and protests, and eventually one day before he was due to hang, the sentence was reduced to life imprisonment.
Wait, they hanged him? Because it was back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
But then they commuted it to life in prison.
Mm-hmm. Put him in life in prison. Edwin's family weren't happy about it because they said that if Edwin had been Scottish, they would have hung him, but because he was English, they didn't. But it wasn't that. It was just all the protests and everything. But anyway, John Laurie went on to spend 40 years and 11 months in prison, which is the longest prison period anybody's ever been incarcerated in Scotland.
Ever?
And he died in... Yep.
Shit.
And he died in 1930.
I thought life sentence meant like your whole life.
No, not in Scotland.
Oh.
No.
What is it, like 25 years?
She just said he spent 40 years in prison.
I understand that, but is it typically like 25?
There's no typical. They just you get a minimum. They just decide whatever the judge decides. There's a minimum, and you have to spend the minimum amount that they say in prison before you'll be eligible for parole.
Oh.
So it just depends on what the judge gives you and the crime.
Interesting.
I would assume that the people that chose non-proven in the States, they would say that would be like the reasonable doubt people. Yes. That if they just couldn't prove it, there seems
but
like
if half of them were,
but it wasn't proven.
Yeah, but if half of them were on the guilty verdict and the other half were on the it's not enough evidence, it would be a hung jury, and they would have to retry it.
In the States, it would be a mistrial.
Right.
But even back in the 1800s?
Well, I don't know about that.
A lot of people said that if they had, because he was only charged with murder, but a lot of people said if he'd been charged with murder and robbery, because he had robbed from him as well, then the jury could have said, well, don't find him guilty of murder, but he definitely robbed him, and that would have still got him a prison sentence. But, rather than being so, definitely guilty when maybe they weren't sure. So that was one thought.
But that's probably why they did that, because then if they did think he was guilty, then he could have got off in a way lesser sentence of just robbery.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. So it is still debated today. And you know how I was talking about the 42 stones that were placed round like a wall?
Yeah.
Because it was made out like he deliberately made this little wall round it so that he was to hide the body. But apparently the wall that they were talking about, it didn't look new, and it actually had turf, in between the stones. So it was like been there for a while. I mean, I think it had been a shelter for somebody, so I don't think he's going to have the time to be, making a nice wee wall with some turf in between it all. So I think the wall was already there, and he maybe just put a couple over the thin entranceway, just to conceal the body.
Okay, so like he dragged him there or something and threw him in.
Yeah.
So he'd be hidden.
But the thing is, it's still debated today, and actually, people that like experts will go to like a community hall, and I hope people will come there, and they'll give them all the facts, and then to this day, it's still debated. Was it an accident, or did he push him? Still don't know. What do you think?
I think that he robbed him and pushed him, definitely. Why would it be an accident? Like, it doesn't suggest... I mean, if you're robbing somebody and they accidentally fall, I mean, you're still robbing them, so... Would it be like manslaughter?
Yeah, it's like when you... Yeah, right, manslaughter, right.
Right.
But, like, probably, I would think if you were going to rob somebody, it's, like, easier to, like, clonk them over the head with a big old rock.
Exactly.
Run their pockets. But take the jacket, throw them, and then...
And push them, yeah.
But, like,
exactly.
Here, it would be considered felony manslaughter, so that may...
Not if you clock them over the head.
But, I mean, if it's unintentional murder... but with the intent of robbing, that carries a heavier weight than just...
I know, but I feel like in the 1800s, like, it was like, you robbed them, you killed them, you raped them. We're not all these, like, little...
Yeah, the little...
Yeah,
like, the nuances of what that is to, like, make things a little bit more...
Right.
Fair, quote unquote.
But that doesn't sound mysterious at all, because here's the thing. He robbed him, took his jacket. I like that jacket. Let me have it. Let me have it here. See? And he yanks it, and then he puts his shirt over his head, and he pushes him because
and then climbs down.
Doesn't need any witnesses.
Drags his body into the thing.
Once he sees the body all fallen.
Right. And then he fucking beats feet for months.
Right.
And then he's like, I'm gonna kill myself. Like, all of this is very very suspicious behavior.
Well, this is... I get that back in the day you couldn't use any name, but it sounds like he
came out there with a purpose.
He came up there with the purpose of doing some shade.
Yeah.
Also, what happened to the girlfriend that was cheating?
Thank you. Yes. What happened to the girlfriend?
He never paid it. Because that was the other thing they said. If he, what was his motive? They didn't have a motive.
Right.
Okay, the robbery, but they're saying if he had a motive to kill the guy that the girlfriend was with, because that's what he went there in the first place for, not to meet some random guy that he could take up the mountain and rob of a jacket.
Yeah, right.
So and wasn't it Edwin's idea to climb the mountain?
Yes.
Right.
So it was just a chance meeting. It's not as if he went there with them and thought, oh yeah, like, this is what we'll do when we go there. It was Edwin's idea.
Right. Now, could it have been that Edwin was the one that was stooping the girlfriend? Stooping. We're using old words.
I don't think it was him.
It wasn't Edwin, though.
I'm just saying.
Or maybe, okay, wait, hear me out.
Let's add some
Maybe they went,
here.
Maybe he's like all bummed out, right? He's on the boat. He finds out his girl, whatever, like he's not going to win the girl back, right? He's on the boat and the guy's like, hey man, you seem so sad. Let's go on a hike. It like clears what ails you or whatever, and then they go up there and then maybe they're like drinking or something, like that's probably what they do, and then he fucking Glasgow what's this called? He Glasgow punch him in the head.
Glasgow
kiss. I've been saying it wrong this whole time. He headbutts him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's like, that's why your girl cheated on you, because you're lame and shit. And then he headbutts him, and then he robs him. He's like, why are you talking crazy?
Right.
And then he's like, oh my God, that was aggressive. I shouldn't have done that. But I should put him in this hole I found here, because that seems like a good idea.
But it wasn't Edwin that was getting cheated on. It was John.
Right. But I'm saying Edwin was the one talking shit.
Oh, I see.
You know, like, he was just up there like, yeah, that's why your girl... That's why you're like a whack-ass bitch.
So what about if, you know, it was a really dangerous mountain, there was these bloody big ledges with 32-foot drops. What if Edwin had fallen? What if he had fallen? And then he'd taken his chance and thought, oh, well, he's dead.
Right.
I might as well rob him. But what... Maybe he panicked and thought, okay, nobody's going to believe that this was an accident.
Right.
So I'm going to have, what do I do? Do I tell people? They're not going to believe me. I'm going to get done. So what about, I'll hide the body and hope that it never gets found. What about that?
Yeah,
But then going back to the accommodation and taking his bag, that was stupid. He could have left it because he's just saying that I know he's dead, he's not coming back for it. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, like, do we even know, like, specifically what he stole? Like, we don't know how much money maybe he had, or...
No, and all that stuff that was left up on the ledge as well. The judge actually said, before the jury went out, that he believed John had taken all the stuff that was there and he just thrown it about up on the ledge to make people believe that Edwin had just fallen and his stuff was scattered.
Right.
So he planted that wee seed to the jury just before they went out to make their decision.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah, you're right, because going back for the bag was dumb.
Yeah, that was. If he'd left that, then I might have thought, well, he didn't know. He's taken it, so he does know he's not coming back for it.
I mean, especially with no motive, it does kind of make sense that, like, oh my God, he fell. It seems like a waste not to just get the cash off the body.
Right. Yeah. Also, he doesn't pay his bill when he leaves his hotel. So, I mean, he's not an upstanding citizen.
Right, yeah.
No, he's not.
Did anybody question the girlfriend? Maybe she had some, like, background knowledge about what a shithead he was.
Was there really a girlfriend?
Right. Was there a girlfriend?
Well, yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
that was
obviously,
the story, but nothing.
Obviously, he's a shithead because he left London.
Yeah.
To go all the way to fucking...
He left Glasgow.
Let me ask you a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, he left Glasgow to go chase his girlfriend and her new man. Like, obviously he's a shithead.
Well, that's his saying.
True.
You know, we don't know if it's true.
I mean, that doesn't look good, though.
What if there was some kind of gay relationship there? Was there any type... No, because here's the thing.
She always goes through the gay relationship.
She tries to arm fucking wrestle a gay love story into every...
Okay, hear me out.
That's good. No,
they meet on a freaking little ferry. Why do they decide to stay in a freaking place for a whole week together?
And that's really good. That was brought up as well, Nydia, that because it was Edwin that approached John on the ferry.
Right.
And John, when they stayed at the wee accommodation, the room in Arran, they actually stayed in the same bed together. So maybe Edwin had a wee thing for John, and then when they were up the mountain, maybe he tried something, and John just like pushed him, and off he went.
That's some Brokeback Mountain type shit.
Oh, hold on. What if there was never a girlfriend? What if it was Edwin that was stooping somebody else, like maybe Andrew? He found out about it, and he's like, I'm done with this. You're rolling down the hill.
Yeah.
No, I've cracked the case. John and Edwin were having sexual relations. That's why he had an injury to his buttocks. And John was like, you know, he's probably like in denial about his sexuality, and Edwin was like, you know, what are we gonna do now? This is our last night. They're at the top of the freaking mountain, and he's like, I'm not here for that gay shit, and he pushes him. You know what I'm saying? Because he hates himself too. Because John hates himself.
Inward homophobia.
Yeah, like
internalized
that
homophobia.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's what I think it was.
This gives a whole new definition to Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah, goat something mountain. Goat mountain.
Goat Hell Mountain.
Goatfell.
Goatfell Mountain.
Well, we've cracked the case.
I mean, that's what it was. In what other way would two men share a bed for a whole week?
Yeah.
When they're cheap.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, was anybody really watching them share the bed? I mean, they could have been sleeping on the floor.
When they give each other the hug and they double pat on their back, they're like, no homo, like that.
I mean, Edwin was a man in his 30s. He wasn't married. Think about it, Dana. This is the 1800s.
They could have just been best friends. History will say they were best friends.
I'm just
But they didn't know each other, though. They'd never met other than on that boat. And it was Edwin that went and approached him. That was the first time they met. And then suddenly they're doing everything together.
Wow. Yeah. Love at first sight.
That's right. It was a meet cute.
Not
One
so
way.
cute at the end.
It didn't end very cute.
No, it didn't. But
So you still sure it was definitely murder then? Like premeditated? Or are you thinking maybe could he have...
I feel like robbery turned murder.
yeah.
Unless we strong-arm this gay shit in here, which honestly, now that you've said it, I am I am sort of leaning towards like a romantic affair, like gone wrong at the last night together on the mountain.
Yeah. Like I can't leave any... I've had this romantic interlude with this man. It's the 1880s.
Yeah.
He's going back to London. I'm not going to see him again. I need to get rid of this evidence.
But also really, like, whatever the motive, like, whether it be... I just don't think he just fell. Like, that doesn't feel right to me.
What did Edwin do for a living?
He was just a clerk in a builder's. He wasn't
man's
just a normal clerk, nothing fancy. I think he was trying to be something he wasn't as well. I think he was trying to make... It was with the clothes he was wearing, and he was wearing a fancy little golfing outfits, and I think he was trying to pretend he was more richer than he was.
Little little golfing outfit. Yes, that
sounds gay to me.
Sounds gay. That was a gay man if I ever heard of one. We cracked the case. Scotland, you can rest easy now. You're welcome.
We figured it out at the crime diner.
No longer a mystery.
I mean, it doesn't feel accidental to me. Certainly.
It sounds like some gay shit.
I mean, everything does, but it certainly doesn't feel like... What do you think? Do you think it was murder, or do you think it was an accident?
I'd like to think that he didn't premeditate it, and he either had a little fight with him or something up in the mountain, and either pushed him or he lost his footing, and then he thought shit and panicked. That's what I think. And he thought, what am I going to do? Nobody's going to believe me, which we haven't.
Yeah.
And he hid the body. That's what I think. And then thought, well, I might as well just try and hide everything. But then, and if you did panic and you were like, oh God, you wouldn't be able to live with yourself. You wouldn't be like going on the run and then writing all this shit to the newspapers.
Right.
You?
Such strange behavior.
Right.
Yeah.
Seems histrionic, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly don't think it was premeditated, because like he didn't even know the guy until right before.
Then he really knew him.
Stop.
Yeah. We're going with that one, aren't we?
She's not going to let it go. What if she can find an angle to, fit
Make
some gay shit? She'll hang on tight. She'll grin and bear it.
No, I was just curious because, like I say, they still debate it all these years, and they have like groups that meet up, and it's like a night out debating what happened.
Really?
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Like a murder mystery type of situation?
But it's true crime murder.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
And that's what you think. So I just thought I wanted to know what you guys thought.
Well, you've heard it. I could not be more clear.
Yeah. And see that little stone, the boulder that he was under, you can actually still go up there and spend a night there if you want to. It's
hell to the no.
There's like no headroom and you just have to lie there flat, but you can spend the night there if you want to.
No.
Yeah, no, thank you.
No. Listen, I'm into some outdoorsy shit.
That's
I'm not staying. I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna cozy up in where the dead body was, like like a fucking sardine in a can. Like,
you would on a date with a lesbian. You would.
I followed girls into some fucking sketchy places.
Yeah.
That's very true.
And I think that was Edwin's mistake too.
Yeah.
We're all sucker for a cute booty. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But that's it. That's it. I've laid it all out.
I'm gonna stick with the gay. It was some gay shit.
Yeah.
I love it. It was some Goatfell Mountain stuff.
Goatfell Mountain, yeah. It is like Brokeback Mountain, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You set the scene, everything. You know, and then when they're doing it, you know, and the one's like trying to fight it, even though he likes it, and then like maybe there was a little tussle, and he's like, you know, you want it, but then they like throws him off the mountain by accident. And he's like, oh shit.
Wow, I gave it to you. Yeah. You wrapped it up, put a bow on it, and presented it.
You got it.
Wow.
I love it.
Dawn, I will be thinking about this. This is something that I'm going to be thinking about as I'm driving.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, what really happened on that mountain?
I know, what really happened?
Well, if we ever make it to Scotland, then maybe we can go on the tour.
I would totally go on that tour.
We could go on the debate. Yeah, how cool would that be?
Oh, that would be so fun.
Oh, I would stand up. I'd be like, is this mic on? Is this mic on? My theory is that, and then people will be like, what's wrong with her?
Get us fucking deported out of Scotland.
Get these fucking
Americans with their podcast out of here immediately.
Yes, they would. A big hook would come out and pull us.
It's not as much of a mystery as that one with the plane you did. Like, did he? Well, where? You know, did he go out the door? How did?
Oh my god!
He just disappeared.
Yeah, that plane story was crazy.
God, yeah.
That was a proper mystery.
Yeah, it really was.
It was an awesome mystery.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
That was a group mystery. That was like something that a group had to make happen.
Right.
Yeah,
and a group of people kept it fucking quiet.
Right. They had to all agree on it.
So shocking.
Right.
So
yeah, because usually when one person knows,
that's right.
When more than one person knows, that's no longer a secret.
Don't make me Ben Franklin quote another misquote Ben Franklin for a third fucking time. I can't even say his name anymore.
Well, it's about Dawn's bedtime now, so we're gonna end it here.
No, I'm all wired up now. No way I'm gonna be sleeping now.
So we'll see you next week, but in the meantime, subscribe so you don't miss out, and definitely subscribe to Scottish Murders, because alone, her accent alone is just enough to
I've been listening for a few weeks now. I'm like almost all caught up on your podcast, and I'm hooked on the accent. But
we have a few listeners from our side that are hooked on Scottish Murders as well. So this was like, oh, you're going to have her on the show. They were very excited about it.
I love that. I love that we've got the same listeners. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, we loved having you on. It was awesome.
I love your podcast, man. Every time, it's just like it's just so funny. Like, there's not one time I haven't laughed out loud.
Thank you.
I love it.
Sometimes we're serious and people laugh at us.
Yeah, if you heard our trying to figure out what actually Great Britain was, which we still do not fucking know.
Great Britain versus the UK.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I remember that one.
So, anywho, definitely subscribe to Scottish Murders. I'm going to go check her out because I was looking for a podcast to listen to, but like, she's just delightful.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start listening too. We have merch. We have Patreon. We have Buy Me a Coffee. You can write a review or share with someone, and you can connect with us on all the socials, literally all the socials. Dawn, where can they find you?
ScottishMurders.com. That's the best place. It's got everything.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Nice and easy to the point.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we should get to the point.
I don't remember anything else, so that's easy.
All right, guys. Well, check you out next week. And remember, do not get taken to that second location. Be good or be good at hiding the body. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.
Are you okay? Jesus Christ.
You're so fucking loud.
You're disgusting, and I hate you both.
Oh, God. I'm crying. Oh, my God. And holding my pee because I almost fucking peed myself.